So it's no secret that the paintings in Mario 64 are an integral part of the game. They are what's used to enter the game's many worlds, which you need to do to obtain the game's main collectible, the Power Star. You then need to use these Power Stars to collect more Power Stars until you reach the total of 70. At that point, you can fight the game's final boss and beat Mario 64. So, it seems like you need Power Stars to beat the game, and you need to go in paintings in order to get these Power Stars. Which would mean you need to enter paintings in order to beat Mario 64. Which was honestly my original idea for the video. Can you beat Mario 64 without entering paintings? But it turns out it's actually pretty easy to do that. Speedrunners do it all the time when they do 0-star speedruns of the game. Yeah, you can beat this game with 0 stars. Which means you can obviously beat it without jumping in paintings. But what if we decided to take it one step further? Since beating the game without entering a painting is so easy, what if we tried to collect every star as well? What if we try to collect all 120 stars in Mario 64 without entering a painting? It sounds impossible, right? Well, what if I told you it's not? What if I told you you could collect almost every single star in this game without entering a single painting? I'm Dan from Press A, and this is how many stars can you get in Mario 64 without entering a painting. Guys, this is the price of Mario Party Jamboree on the Switch 2 in Canadian dollars. If you think this is a crime against humanity, please like this video. Thank you. So real quick, before we start, let me explain what entering a painting means. It's real simple. We just can't touch or enter any part of the painting. If we somehow find another way of entering the level, that's fine. But touching the painting itself is off limits. But now that that's settled, let's hop into the run. So, we begin our journey by entering the front door of Princess Peach's castle, and are immediately met with the first obstacle of this run. These doors with the star numbers on them. Normally, you can enter these doors when you've obtained the number of stars that corresponds with the number on the door. So, to open up 1-star doors, you need 1 star, and to open up 3-star doors, you need 3. To open up the Bowser door, which we need to do to get the key to the basement, requires 8. So we somehow need to obtain 8 stars without jumping into a single painting. Which unfortunately is impossible because the only level we have access to is a level that's entered through a painting. Which kinda sucks because we can't get stars any other way. And even if we could, it wouldn't matter because every level on this floor is entered through a painting. There are only 3 stars on the first floor you can obtain without one. The secret aquarium star locked behind the 3-star door leading to Jolly Roger's Bay, and the 2 stars in the princess's secret slide which are locked behind a 1-star door. And no, this isn't a painting, this is stained glass. But honestly, even if we could find a way into these rooms, it doesn't matter because we need 8 stars to open up the Bowser door, and we can only get 3. So, is the video already over? Can we really not get a single star without entering a painting? Well, no, we can. But to actually do it, we have to take a page out of the 0-star speedrun book. This is called the Lobby Backwards Long Jump, or LBLJ for short, and it's used in the 0-star speedrun to get past the first Bowser door. Now, I'm not going to go in depth on what a backwards long jump is because it's probably the most well-known speedrunning glitch in existence. But basically, Nintendo made a big oopsie when coding this game. They forgot to cap Mario's backwards speed. Mario's forward speed is capped at 48, but his backward speed isn't capped at all. Now, long jumps multiply Mario's velocity by 1.5, which would obviously get out of control if his forward speed wasn't capped at 48. But guess what? You can do long jumps backwards, and because Mario's speed isn't capped backwards, this can happen. Now, unfortunately, you can't just do this anywhere because the speed from a backwards long jump is lost by the time Mario lands again. But if you were able to shorten his time in the air and jump again before he lost all of his negative speed, well, then you're doing a BLJ. You can do this in one of many ways, like on an elevator, staircase, or with a low ceiling. And thankfully for us, there's a low ceiling in the front lobby of Princess Peach's castle. To actually get there, we need to take this door to the basement, double jump on these stairs, which will then allow us to grab this ledge, clipping us through the ceiling. By doing that, it gets us inside the little pillar beside the front of the stairs. And this is where we can perform our BLJ. Since the ceiling shortens Mario's jump height, we can chain together long jumps and gain a crazy amount of speed. The weird part is that it's actually the ceiling below him that does this. But the reason why is kind of confusing, so I'm not going to go into it, but just understand that it does work. So now we need to perform the BLJ, then hold down, which will shoot us through the lobby's front door into this black out of bounds area. Now we need to keep holding down and turn the camera right, which will shoot us up the stairs and through the Bowser door. So the explanation I just gave made it seem pretty easy, right? Well, it's not. I thought it was because I've seen this trick done like a million times, but oh my god, it's not. It's really not. I struggled even getting inside the little pillar beside the staircase. You have just enough height in order to grab the ledge properly, and getting that height is not easy. You know what else isn't easy? Staying inside this little pillar once you get in there. This little area is so small and it's so easy to clip back in bounds, especially when you're trying to do a long jump. I have so much footage of me clipping back in bounds because I either ran too far or long jumped past where I was supposed to be. Doing the BLJ itself though isn't that bad, you just have to press the A button at the right pace. If you're going too slow or too fast, it's just not gonna work. For me though, the worst part was directing Mario towards the door. You basically just have to hold down, but since Mario is moving so fast, if you're off that down notch by even a little bit, he's gonna go everywhere. Like in the Cool Mountain Room, for example, or going out of bounds and entering the castle from the outside, which causes the game to freak out, by the way. Oh, and I also clipped through the door leading to the second floor of the castle, which unfortunately I couldn't do anything with because there's an invisible wall blocking the way, which I'm assuming is only removed when you defeat Bowser a second time. But after a while, the goddamn stars aligned, and I performed maybe the slowest and ugliest LBLJ in Super Mario 64 history. Yeah, so just like that, we're past the Bowser door. And thankfully, to actually enter the level, we don't have to go in a painting. We can just fall straight through this trap door. Shortly after entering the level, I made quick work of Bowser, granting us the key to the basement. Which means we have access to levels we can actually enter now. There are 4 levels in the basement: Dire Docks, Shifting Sandland, Lethal Lava Land, and Hazy Maze Cave. We can't enter Dire Docks because it's locked behind another Bowser door. And the same with Lethal Lava Land, because it's a painting which we obviously can't touch. But Shifting Sandland and Hazy Maze Cave, well, they're free game. The entrance to Shifting Sandland is just a stone wall, and to Hazy Maze Cave, it's this weird black portal. So we're completely fine to enter both levels, which is exactly what I do. I entered Shifting Sandland, obtained 3 stars, then went back upstairs to open the door to Jolly Roger Bay so I could grab the star in the secret aquarium, which is accessed by jumping through this hole in the wall here. After that was done, I went upstairs and grabbed the 2 stars in Princess Peach's secret slide. And again, this is not a painting, this is stained glass. With every star in the lobby now obtained, I headed back to the basement to grab a bunch more stars. I obtained 6 stars in Shifting Sandland, 6 in Hazy Maze Cave, got 1 for catching Mips the Rabbit, got another for talking to this toad, got another 1 for collecting 8 red coins in the Dark World, and got 3 more for collecting the 8 red coins in the levels you unlock the Wing, Vanish, and Metal Cap in. None of these levels required any paintings to enter. The Wing level is entered by looking at the sun rays in the lobby, the Metal by jumping in this pool in Hazy Maze Cave, and the Vanish by jumping in this hole found in the moat. After that was done, I headed to a level I forgot to mention earlier when we beat Bowser for the first time: Big Boo's Haunt. Now, the reason I forgot to mention it is because it's not really downstairs, but it is unlocked by beating Bowser the first time. Once you beat Bowser, you can access this courtyard, kill a Boo, and enter Big Boo's Haunt with no painting necessary. Now that I was in Big Boo's Haunt, I collected all 7 stars. Yes, 7. Because I actually forgot about the 100 coin star. In every single level in this game, if you collect 100 coins while you're in the level, you'll be granted a secret star, which I completely forgot to do in Shifting Sandland and Hazy Maze Cave. So let's quickly go back to those levels and grab those 2 stars. Oh, and I lied. I didn't collect all 7 stars in Big Boo's Haunt. I only collected 6, because the last star of the level, Eye to Eye in the Secret Room, can only be obtained by jumping through this painting, which means we can only collect 29 stars. And that's not good. So the reason 29 stars isn't good is because we need 30 to enter this door leading to Dire Dire Dots in the second Bowser level. Without 30, we're stuck in the same situation as before, where we can't progress through the game and have obtained every star we possibly could. Bob-omb Battlefield, Whomp's Fortress, Jolly Roger Bay, Cool Cool Mountain, and Lethal Lava Land are all off limits to us because they require a painting to enter. There are the 15 castle secret stars, but we've already obtained 9 of those, and the other 6 are unobtainable to us. 4 of them are on the second and third floor, which we can't get to yet, and the other 2, while in the basement, are also unobtainable to us. One of them is for collecting 8 red coins in Bowser's second level, which we can't get to, and the other is obtained when you catch Mips a second time. And Mips doesn't show up a second time until you've collected 50 stars in total. So yeah, we've obtained every star we can, and it's still not enough. We are exactly 1 star short of 30. So it looks like the max amount of stars you can get without touching a painting is 29. Is what I would say if this game wasn't completely busted. And I'm gonna use our old friend the BLJ to show you just how busted it is. This BLJ is called the Side Backwards Long Jump, or SBLJ for short. The way you perform an SBLJ is by first going on the staircase. Then you need to walk against this railing and slowly angle Mario to the right. Once Mario is in the correct position, you want to do a backwards long jump and hold left as soon as he hits the stairs. Then you need to rhythmically mash the A button to perform the BLJ and hold up as soon as Mario shoots off the stairs to get yourself through the star door. Now, would you believe me if I said this BLJ is so much harder than the lobby BLJ? Because it's true. The SBLJ is horrible. It probably took me over 3 hours to actually do it. The reason this trick is so difficult is because of how precise it is. You have to make sure Mario's leg is clipped into the staircase. Then, walk against the railing and slightly rotate him right. If you do any of this part incorrectly, Mario will be in the wrong position and the trick just won't work. So, even just setting it up is a pain in the ass. What's also a pain in the ass is doing the BLJ itself. To even do the long jump, you have to run perfectly straight down. If you're off by even a little bit, Mario's position will once again be ruined, and you'll have to set up the trick again. And even if you do the long jump perfectly, actually getting it in the right spot is really hard. You have to basically wedge Mario's ass in between the stairs and the railing. If you're short, Mario will jump over the railing, and if you're too long, he'll land on top of it. But even if you're in the right spot, you still have to press left the exact moment he lands on the stairs. If you don't time it perfectly, it just won't work. And to top it all off, you have to aim yourself at the door right before you go flying off the stairs, which is really hard to do because you're moving at supersonic speeds. All of this together just adds up to a trick that is so annoying to perform. I have so much respect for speedrunners who can pull this trick off in like 2 seconds because it's really hard. Again, it took me over 3 hours to do. But yeah, after a while, I was finally able to get it and make my way through the Bowser door. Now that I was through, I could collect all the stars in Dire Dire Dots, grab the secret star by collecting 8 red coins in the Fire Sea, then defeat Bowser to nab myself the key to the second floor of the castle. A little thing I found interesting is that once you have 30 stars, you can just open the 30 star door from the opposite side. Yeah, for some reason it still works, even though you would never actually be able to open the door like this. But yeah, now that we have the key to the second floor, we can head on up there. But unfortunately, things don't get too much better for us on the second floor. The second floor of Peach's Castle contains 4 levels: Wet Dry World, Tall Tall Mountain, Tiny Huge Island, and Snowman's Land. Now, Wet Dry World, Tall Tall Mountain, and Tiny Huge Island are all accessed through paintings, which means the only way we can get stars on the second floor is through Snowman's Land. Oh, and this toad here who gives us a single star. As you can see, Snowman's Land isn't accessed through a painting, but instead just this wall. So we can collect all 7 stars and nab this one from the Toad, which brings us up to 45 in total. Exactly 5 short of the 50 needed to unlock the 3rd floor, which is where we have to go to next. And once again, there are no other stars for us to collect. Opening up the 2nd floor only gave us access to a single level and a single secret star. There are still 4 more secret stars in the castle, but 3 of them are on the 3rd floor, and the one that's not, you obtain by catching Mips a 2nd time, which, as I explained earlier, can only happen when you collect 50 stars. So once again, we're stuck. And funnily enough, once again, our friend BLJ has come to save us. This is the 50-star door BLJ, and let me tell you, it's way easier than the other 2 we've done so far. Literally, all you have to do to perform this BLJ is backwards long jump down the stairs, mash the A button, and blast your way through the 50-star door. And guess what? I have some good news. The 3rd floor is actually great for us. The 3rd floor contains 2 levels, Tick-Tock Clock and Rainbow Ride, both of which we can enter. To enter Tick-Tock Clock, we just have to jump in this clock face, which is not a painting. And to enter Rainbow Ride, we just have to jump down this hole. If we 100% both these levels, it'll grant us 14 stars, bringing our total up to 59. Now, there's also 2 secret stars on the 3rd floor as well. The star you get from talking to this Toad, and the star you get from collecting 8 red coins in the course Winged Mario over the rainbow. Oh, and we can actually catch Mips a 2nd time now because we have over 50 stars. So altogether, this brings our total up to 62, which, guess what, is once again not enough for us to access the next area. The last area we have to enter is Bowser in the Sky, which unfortunately is protected by this endless staircase. Unless Mario has 70 stars, he will never be able to run up these stairs. They will go on forever. That is, unless you can travel at supersonic speeds. Which, yeah, we totally can. As you've probably guessed already, we can just BLJ up these stairs. See, these stairs aren't actually endless, they just use a simple trick to seem like they are. There's a trigger around halfway up the stairs that just teleports Mario backwards anytime he hits it. But if you're going fast enough, you can just skip this trigger and never hit it, which is where the BLJ comes in. By doing a BLJ on the stairs, we can reach the speed needed to skip the trigger and make our way to the game's last level, Bowser in the Sky, where we collect our last star of the run by collecting 8 red coins and defeating the last boss, bringing our total to 63, which is 1 short of 64, which is honestly kind of annoying. But yeah, 63 is the most amount of stars you can collect in Mario 64 without entering a painting. Okay, let's have some real talk here. When I finished this run with 63 stars, I was honestly kind of disappointed. All I had really achieved was doing the 0-star speedrun, but with extra steps. It really wasn't that interesting of a run. So I decided to see if I could get some more. But the problem was, I had no idea where to even start. We had attained all 15 of the castle's secret stars. The only stars we had left were locked inside of levels. Levels that can only be entered by jumping inside of a painting. Something that we can't do, and there's really no way around. Well, that's what I thought. That's what I thought before I went to the Mario 64 speedrunning Discord, and a user there named Elfotzi showed me something I honestly couldn't believe. This isn't a crazy editing trick. There is no deception going on here whatsoever. In fact, this trick is actually pretty easy. All you have to do is do the exact same BLJ as before, but instead of aiming Mario straight up towards Bowser in the Sky, you aim him left towards the wall. Then, just do the BLJ and bam, you're in Wet Dry World. But how exactly does this work? Because it makes no sense, right? One moment you're on the endless stairs, and then the next you're in Wet Dry World, which is a whole floor below the stairs. How does this happen? Well, to understand it, we're gonna have to look at how Mario enters a level through one of the paintings in the first place. So when Mario jumps through a painting, he goes through it and lands on these blue floor triangles on the other side. Landing on one of these floor triangles is what transports Mario to a new level. But the thing about these floor triangles is that they're not 2D like they're shown in this picture here. They actually go way above and way below the paintings. Now, why is that important, you may ask? Well, let's take a look at the picture again. This red rectangle here is the infinite staircase, and these blue triangles below it are the floor triangles behind the wet dry world painting. Now, if you look closer at the picture, you can actually see that these two things overlap. And not just in the 2D picture, but in the 3D game as well. Since the floor triangles extend above the painting, they actually overlap with the infinite staircase. So when we BLJ like this and hug the left wall, we somehow hit this overlap and get transported to Wet Dry World. But either way, we can now enter Wet Dry World and obtain every star in the level. More than that, we now have a way to enter levels locked behind paintings. If we could somehow get around the painting itself and hit the floor triangles behind it, we could potentially get into every level in the game. Now, shortly after learning this, I wanted to see if we could get into Tall Tall Mountain in the exact same way. Now, Tall Tall Mountain doesn't intersect with the infinite staircase like Wet Dry World does, but it is on the opposite end of the 50-star staircase. So I thought maybe we could do something with that. So I did some searching, and after a while, I found this 13-year-old video by Arrow7489, a video with only 879 views. Yeah, he basically does the exact same thing we did to get into Wet Dry World. He BLJs up the 50-star stairs, clips through the wall, and touches the loading zone that extends above the painting. It does kind of look like he teleports right into the painting, but if we slow it down here, you can see he definitely clips through the wall and hits the loading zone above it. So that means we can enter another level and get 7 more stars. Now, I should be honest, I wasn't actually able to replicate this trick. I actually tried a bunch of times, and this is probably the closest I got, getting stuck in this pillar here. But the speedrunning Discord did confirm that this trick is possible. I guess I'm just too bad to actually pull it off. But yeah, now we can collect all 7 stars in Tall Tall Mountain, which means our new total is now 77. 77 stars can be obtained in Mario 64 without entering paintings. And I thought this is where it would stay. There were still 6 levels we hadn't entered yet. Bob-omb Battlefield, Whomp's Fortress, Cool Cool Mountain, Jolly Rogers Bay, Lethal Lava Land, and Tiny Huge Island. All of these levels had one thing in common. I had no idea how we would ever enter them. Bob-omb Battlefield, Whomp's Fortress, Cool Cool Mountain, and Jolly Rogers Bay are all located in the front lobby. And unfortunately for us, the front lobby doesn't really have a lot of places to BLJ from. There is the spot we BLJ'd from earlier, but the problem is that it's on the same level height-wise as the other paintings are. So we wouldn't be able to touch the hitbox way above the painting like we did in Wet Dry World and Tall Tall Mountain. We would just BLJ straight into the painting. We need to BLJ from somewhere above the paintings, then maintain that height until we reach the hitbox above them. I thought maybe the big staircase in the main lobby would do the trick, but unfortunately this staircase isn't coded as a staircase. It's coded as a ramp that we cannot BLJ from. So these levels seemed completely off limits to me, and when I looked at Tiny Huge Island and Lethal Lava Land, it didn't get much better. Both paintings are pretty far away from any area you can BLJ from. In fact, they're in completely different rooms. And after realizing this, I was beginning to realize that this was way above my pay grade. I know a little bit about Mario 64, but not nearly enough to do stuff like that. So I reached out for help, and the person who answered my call is maybe the person who knows the most about this game in the entire world. His name is Marbler. Now, you may ask, what makes him so special? Why do you think he knows more about Mario 64 than anybody else? Well, I don't know. He's just the only person in the world who's completed the game without pressing the A button. But, you know, that's nothing special, right? Yeah, you heard me right. he beat Mario 64 without pressing the A button. Mario 64, the game that literally revolves around jumping, he beat it without it. So, yeah, he knows his shit. But yeah, if you've been around the channel a bit, you'll know that around here, we're all about pressing A. And obviously, Marbler is not. We are literally the antithesis of each other. So you would think this partnership would be a complete disaster. But it wasn't. It was actually incredible. Because after I let Marbler cook for a bit, what he showed me honestly blew my mind. Cue the goddamn summoning salt montage. Yeah, he was able to get into every single level except Lethal Lava Land. Bob-omb Battlefield, Whomp's Fortress, Cool Mountain, Jolly Rogers Bay, and Tiny Huge Island were all completely conquered by Marbler's A-button fearing fingers. It's honestly insane. And I couldn't believe it, but I'm sure you want to know how he did it, so let's try to break it down. Let's talk about the levels in the lobby first. So, remember that room I accidentally clipped into earlier in the video? The room behind the key door leading to the second floor? Well, it turns out this room plays a crucial part in getting into these levels without paintings. Because this room is broken as fuck. Remember when I said there's an invisible wall here blocking you from going upstairs? Well, that's not really true. What's actually happening here is that this room behind the key door is a fake room that's just there so the player sees something when this cutscene plays. Since this room is a fake room that Mario was never supposed to be in, when he enters it, he can do some weird shit. And by weird shit, I mean abuse it in the same way we abused the pillar when performing the LBLJ from earlier. What I didn't really explain earlier is that the reason Mario can BLJ in this pillar is because of the ceiling beneath him, not above him. For some reason, if there's a ceiling below Mario and there's no floor in between him and the ceiling will basically act like it's above him. Now, this next part is a little confusing, but basically, when Mario is jumping off this little piece of floor here, the game identifies that the next floor that will be below Mario will be the stairs leading towards the basement, which would mean that the next ceiling above him would be the ceiling above those stairs. Now, since there's no floor between Mario and the ceiling above the stairs, the game identifies it as a ceiling above Mario. Now, this is important because ceilings stop all of Mario's vertical momentum, which, if you remember from earlier, is exactly what we want when performing a BLJ. We want to shorten Mario's jump so we can build up speed as fast as possible, which the ceiling allows us to do in the pillar. Now, if you're wondering why I'm explaining a trick from earlier, it's because the trick that Marbler does in this fake room works on the exact same principle. It just uses this floor and this ceiling leading to Big Boo's haunt instead. So, what Marbler ends up doing is performing the LBLJ, which clips him into the fake room. Then he performs the BLJ against the ceiling leading to Big Boo's haunt, which grants him a ton of speed, allowing him to aim Mario right towards Whomp's Fortress and left towards Cool Mountain, which allows him to hit the loading zones above the painting just like we did with Wet Dry World. Now, Bob-omb Battlefield is a little bit different, but it's basically more of the same. He builds up a bunch of speed again, but he can't build up as much as before, as it would cause him to clip into Cool Mountain. But since he can't build up as much speed as before, it means he can't clip straight into the Bob-omb Battlefield room. He has to first clip into the Bowser in the Dark World room, and then aim himself towards the painting. If he does it correctly, he'll clip through the wall on the right side of the painting and hit the loading zone without ever touching the painting itself. The Tiny Huge Island BLJ is a little bit more complicated, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. Basically, he starts off with an SBLJ, like the one we did in front of the second Bowser door. The problem with SBLJs is that they can only reach around 400 speed, and we need way more than that to get into the Tiny Huge Island room. So he actually transitions the SBLJ into a ceiling BLJ, like the one we did in the lobby. Just like with how the LBLJ used the ceiling leading towards the basement, this BLJ makes use of the ceiling above the double doors at the bottom of the stairs. You can see here, he performs the SBLJ against the stairs, then jumps to switch off to the ceiling BLJ, which then gives him enough speed to clip through the wall at the top of the stairs, circle around the entire second floor, clip through the wall of the tiny huge island room, then clip under the gigantic painting, which happens to have just enough room for him to fit under. Which now leaves us with the Jolly Roger Bay BLJ. A BLJ that is so hard that he had to use task tools to even pull it off. If you didn't know, task tools allow speedrunners to advance the game frame by frame and add in specific inputs for each frame. And trust me, he needed it for this one, because this BLJ is insane. He explained to me what he did here, but I still don't really fully understand it. But I'll still try my best to explain it either way. So, just like with the Bob on Battlefield BLJ, he doesn't have enough height to clip above the painting. So, he has to come at it from the side. But it's way harder to do that with the Jolly Roger Bay painting because of where it's located. So, to actually pull it off, he has to make use of some pretty insane tech. He first starts off by aiming himself at the Bowser in the Dark World room. This is simply because he needs some extra height. See how the floor leading to Peach's secret slide is higher than the one he starts the BLJ on? Well, he needs to overcome that height difference to be able to make it into the Jolly Roger Bay room. So to do this, he lands on the staircase, which gives him a little extra height. Then he stands there punching for a bit, which is just to burn off some excess speed. Once he's happy with the speed he's at, he aims Mario towards Jolly Roger Bay and does a jump kick in that direction. The jump kick plus the extra height from the stairs gives him just enough height to clear the floor leading to Peach's secret slide, and allows him to clip into the Jolly Roger Bay room. But the trick isn't done yet, because if he just kept going, he would run straight into the painting at hyperspeed, which obviously isn't something he wants to do. So to avoid this, he performs something called a negative jump. Basically, the faster Mario is moving in this game, the higher he's going to jump. Where this gets interesting though, is that this works in reverse as well. So the faster Mario is moving backwards, the lower his jump is going to be. In fact, you can reach such high speeds that his jump stops just being low and actually becomes negative. As in, when you press the A button, Mario goes down instead of up. So, as soon as Marbler passes through the wall, he does one of these negative jumps, lowering his height to the floor of the room. But he's still heading towards the painting at super high speeds. So to stop this, he performs another negative jump, which does two things. It slows down his speed a bit and allows him to clip into the floor and touch out of bounds. This briefly stops him in place and allows him to turn towards the aquarium, shooting him into it instantly. Now that he's here, all he has to do is turn towards the loading zone for Jolly Roger Bay and clip through the wall, ending off maybe one of the most insane and complex tricks I have ever covered on this channel. I'm not even joking either. I probably only covered like half of what's really going on here. If I covered the whole thing, this video would probably be like 10 minutes longer, and I'm not even sure if I could because I'm not even sure if I really understand it. But yeah, Marbler was able to do exactly what I asked of him. The only level he wasn't able to get into was Lethal Lava Land. And this is because there's just nowhere to really BLJ from in the basement. Like, there is the spot we SBLJ'd from earlier, but like I mentioned, SBLJs only get us to around 400 speed, which is the exact speed you need to clip through walls. Unfortunately though, Lethal Lava Land is just too far away to maintain this speed. So by the time we get there, we wouldn't have enough speed to actually clip past the wall. The only other place you could really perform a BLJ that would make sense is in the Hazy Maze cave room. But again, it's only an SBLJ, so we can only get around like 400 speed. But Marbler estimated that to make it through this wall and the out of bounds area to reach the loading zone of Lethal Lava Land, you would need around 8,000. So yeah, we're not even close. But honestly, who cares? It's just one level. You're able to get every single star in the game except the 7 in Lethal Lava Land. Because, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Marbler had a solution for the star in Big Boo's haunt as well. Remember this one stuck behind the Boo painting? Well, yeah, you can get in there without going through it. But to do that, we're gonna have to talk about parallel universes. And no, I'm not joking. So, if you've ever watched a Pan and Coat video, you'll know that parallel universes in Mario 64 are a real thing. But they are also really complex, hard to explain, and way beyond the scope of this video. If you want to know more though, you can check out this video here by Pan and Coat himself, where he discusses every detail of Mario 64's parallel universes. As for me though, I'm gonna try and give you the Cole's Notes version. I'll try to explain it in the easiest way possible. Basically, because of how Mario 64 is coded, there are infinite versions of each level. Now, these parallel levels are really far away from the main level and have no textures or objects in them. They are just basic geometry. Now, you may ask, why does any of this matter? How can parallel universes help us get this star? Well, the easiest way to describe it is that we can basically use these parallel universes to teleport Mario. But to see what I mean, let's take a look at this video by Super Davo so I can break it down for you. So he starts off the video by performing a BLJ on the elevator in the shed. This works because, like I mentioned earlier, you can basically perform a BLJ on anything that shortens Mario's jump, which this elevator does. The elevator ride itself is also very long, so he can build up a lot of speed. And I mean it. He ends up building over 4 million speed on this elevator. So when the elevator ride ends, he gets shot out into space. But right as this is happening, he performs an overflow jump, which is basically just a bigger form of the negative jump I mentioned earlier. If you remember, negative jumps cause Mario to go downwards. So overflow jumps cause him to go really far downwards. So far in fact, that he hits the parallel universe right below the map. Now, when he hits this parallel universe, he wants to hit a specific spot, the balcony outside the mansion. And this is where things get confusing, so try and stay with me. So even though Mario is really far down, as soon as he touches the floor of the balcony, he gets sent back up to the height of the balcony on the real map. So even though his horizontal distance is really far away from the room with the star, his vertical distance is now aligned with it. So all he has to do now is burn off some excess speed, then come flying back and clip into the secret room with Mario, grabbing the star in the process and bypassing any need to enter the Boo painting. But yeah, you can literally collect every star in the game without entering a painting, except for the 7 in Lethal Lava Land, which is honestly insane. And I'm not even sure that entering Lethal Lava Land is impossible. This game was beaten without the press of an A button, so surely nothing in this game is impossible, right? If you want to try this for yourself, or have any ideas on how to enter Lethal Lava Land, please send them to me. I would love to see every star collected in this game without entering a painting. That would honestly be really cool. But yeah guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. This video was made possible through the support of our amazing patrons. I want to give a special shout out to Rebecca Lyons, Lay Burb, Puddles Megan, Liam Helt, Nice Gamer Musics, Serena Bliss, TXCS_14. Blue Pikmin is the best Pikmin, and if you say otherwise, then Louie will eat your soul. Also, this is a completely real name. Young Smokey VP $17, Clone Trooper Wheeler, and Koi Koi 13.